Hello and welcome back to Jack Knives Reviews. I'm of course your host, Jack Knives. And would you look at the time? It's A24 time. Let's take a look at the viral movie that is hitting the world and stumbling us into something far deeper than we even see. Backrooms. Clark is a furniture store owner struggling with an impending divorce and his alcoholic tendencies. After confiding with his therapist Mary, he decides to stay in the furniture store. While there, he discovers a glowing slit in the wall. This leads him to another area of seemingly infinite hallways, doors, warped furniture, and unknown creatures. Clark with a few others set out on an expedition into this other world. But as time passes, Mary and a mysterious organization are also entering to face the horrors inside. Once again, we have a first-time director who is a former YouTuber, but this time it's very different. Kane Parsons isn't just some random YouTuber. Kane Parsons quite literally created an entire mythos that was based off of a picture on 4chan. Now, did he create the original image? No. But he turned that original image into a series of web videos that have an intricate, complicated plot, all different interpretations of what is happening in different ways. He said it himself, there's no straight answer because it's kind of up to interpretation. I love that because it was one of the few creepypastas. It was actually feeling like it could be real. It's not too far out of the stretch of the imagination, but it's just far enough to delve into what is commonly now known as liminal horror, where it's kind of messing with your head and everything seems normal until it isn't. There's a lot of movies in the subgenre of liminal horror that stretch all the way back from the 70s that people just used to call psychedelic horror, but now it's known as liminal horror. There's tons of videos out there that try to explain what the backrooms actually are, but the way the film presents it is not as overly complicated as it would seem. It is complex, it is intricate, but complicated, not really. When I left the theater, there were multiple people kind of talking to one another about what they think this means, what they think that means. There are a few things that they do straight up say, for instance, that there are portals all around the world, which pretty much everyone kind of figured anyway. The one thing that drew people into seeing this movie was the actual backrooms themselves. What actually are we gonna see on a bigger scale? What is, if any, going to be some sort of explanation as to what's going on? Where do these characters fit into this? What is the time frame? Which I will say, it takes place in 1990, so the whole, well, they just call someone and all that stuff is completely out of the question, which is fine. And I like that because it's like, hey, that cuts that whole chunk out of it. And it doesn't do anything that's too far out of the reality of, yeah, this could be the 90s, all the way up from cheesy commercials for self-help books to there were parts where you would see these old M-DOS computers. So I'm like, hey, I remember those. Chiwetel Ejiofor plays Clark, the main lead, sort of main lead, in the movie. You'll probably recognize him as Mordo in the Doctor Strange movies, as well as several other movies like 12 Years a Slave and several other things that he's done. He's primarily a theater actor, but he's done pretty good work for this movie. It's very expression heavy and very a person just trying to figure out what's going on. And he does a good job with what he's given. Well, there's no other way to put it. He's an ass. He's in the midst of a tumultuous divorce/marriage that he feels no responsibility for, and alcoholic, you know, kind of carbon cutout Stephen King character. But it's more of what he experiences that kind of keeps you drawn into the movie. It was also funny to see Mark Duplass in this because I know him from the Creep series, and he's the writer, director, and creator of those movies. So for him to be in this movie, I think is kind of like a, not necessarily training wheels, but kind of like, hey, to maybe give Kane Parsons some pointers here and there with specific aspects, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but maybe it could just be that he's a big fan of Creep. But it was really nice to see Mark Duplass in a movie that's actually this big. Seeing him in all the Creep movies in such a smaller scale and the Creep series, seeing him in this kind of scope is really cool. It just made me happy to see him. But the person who carries this movie is Renate Reinsve as Mary. She is the psychologist to Clark, but she's also a self-help publisher who's clearly got her own many, many issues, which, even though you get some flashes of her past, you are not given a full 100% scope of it. It allows just enough for the audience to kind of piece everything together, but there's still quite a bit that you're trying to figure out, like, okay, so what exactly is your deal? There are things that they establish in the new movie that were never privy in the original works of the Backrooms. For instance, the creatures themselves, some of them being a little more complex than I was expecting, and things that were, again, not at all spelled out for you. There were times where they would cut to a camcorder vision, which I loved because it did remind me of those old videos from the YouTube days that actually were what the Backrooms were. So it was a throwback to his old stuff, yet it was kind of done in a newer style. And I love that because it is a seamless transition between those videos to the movie itself. To date, Kane Parsons is now the not only youngest A24 director, but he is now the director of the highest grossing A24 movie that they've ever done, with a slated sequel apparently coming sometime in the next couple years. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this universe. What exactly is it going to entail? Is it going to bleed into our world? Because it seemed to be little Easter eggs and things hidden where it was already starting to do that. And I kind of like that because it, again, does not spell it out for the audience. I hate when movies have to explain psychological things to the audience as black and white because it feels so lazy and you're not giving the audience enough credit to just piece it together. Granted, a majority of the audience probably can't, but you would at least give them the opportunity to do so. And for me, I love that. I'm also curious to see what Kane Parsons is going to do outside of the Backrooms universe. I would like to see him maybe tackle some different kinds of horror, maybe work on maybe psychological thrillers, dramas, action movies. I don't know. But I'm curious to see, with such a young person at the helm doing this great a job, between him and Curry Barker, it does make me happy to know that so much of the youth directing and first timers and former YouTubers or current YouTubers, I'm not sure if they're still doing stuff, are showing not only Hollywood, but showing the world that it's not about what is backing you, it's who is doing the work, who is actually putting pen to paper and putting the film to the theaters. This movie is really great. I think it's worth seeing on the biggest screen because it gives more of that feel, and it's definitely worth checking out. I give Backrooms 4.5 out of 5. Have you seen Backrooms? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to stab that subscribe button and slice that like button, and I'll see you next time.